All right, we are in geometry. Today's date is Monday, February 24th. Julian caught the date error, and I'll change that someday. So Julian, log your extra credit point. It is indeed 2/24, 2020. We're dealing with arc measure today. And just so that it's here for the video, there's our unit guide. It is long. We'll get through it. All right, so our objective today, Julian.
Find arc measures by using vertical, complementary, and supplementary angles.
There it is. So we're trying to find arc measures. That's our goal, but what are arc measures? And if you know, that's awesome. If you don't, you're about to learn. So, arc measure. It is, there's not a really good way to say this. It's the measure of the arc. It's a circular definition.
Whoa. Is that an alarm? Is that a phone right here?
Josie, put it on my desk.
I believe that was your phone, Mr. Why would you
That was
wrongly-
my
why
phone.
would you accuse someone like that? Yeah, you stop wrongly accusing people. Why did you target Josie?
All right. So I'm just going to say it's the measure in degrees
I hope Mr. Sindel
of the semicircle.
Did someone crush your vibe? Is that why you're typing instead of writing?
Do you want me to write?
No. Good. Do it. Why you
No, not like those. These are too small, but on regular things, but it's just like
I can zoom in too.
face. Nothing. Exactly.
And it helps to see a picture, so that's why I have some pictures down below. But before we talk about the pictures, I want to get all these terms defined. So the arc length is the distance along the arc. You want to think about, oh, if I am an ant, if I am a particle, if I'm some small bean, I'm walking around the edge of the circle, how far do I have to walk? All right, the central angle. This is the angle in the exact center. The best way that I can describe the difference between a minor and major arc is the minor arc is small and the major arc is big. Specifically, what I mean by small is it's less than 180 degrees. And I can do degrees. And this one's going to be big. Oops, what's going on there? Technology work. This is going to be big or greater than 180 degrees. All right. If you guys need me to slow down, just let me know. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate what these mean in a picture. So, down here, this is an arc. AB, and it's easier to see on mine than yours. Yours just looks a little bit bigger. But this is an arc, and how do I say this arc? I say that this arc has, or the measure of arc AB, and I write this, the measure of arc, and I just write the capital A, capital B, and I put a little rainbow above it. Notice that it's very similar to like a line segment where I just have a line above it. It's just a rainbow. So if I wanted to find what is the measure of arc AB, it'll look like that. And that's the question that they'll be asking on Khan Academy. Let's see, do I have any examples down here? I don't actually say it, but they'll say something along the lines of, if I'm trying to find this arc down here, I'll say, what is the measure of arc BD with a rainbow above it? And you'll say, that's equal to blank, Mr. Sindel, because of blank and blank and blank. All right, so the way that I find this measure of AB is by using the central angle, which I'll talk about down below. Let's talk about this one. How do I describe this one? This is going to be the measure of what arc? Anyone want to try this one, Gunnar? FC, yeah. So if it's a minor arc, that works, FC. That is one of many ways that you can actually describe this one. You can actually use multiple letters. This could also be the measure of, anyone want to try using multiple letters? And Gunnar, can I take your card too, please? So you definitely need to have F and C, but you can also have any letter in between F and C that is on the arc. Jose? You can only do up to 3 letters. You can't do 4, sorry, yeah. Which one do you want to use? FBC. Perfect. So a few different ways of doing arcs. Again, whenever you have a minor arc, you're allowed to do this. So this is only allowed when you have a minor arc. If you have something that is really big, bigger than 180 degrees, more than half of the circle, then you have to have at least 3 letters. So over here, for example, this is incorrect. Everyone write down the incorrect thing and then cross it off so that you can remember that this is incorrect. It is incorrect here to say the measure of arc EC. Cross it out. That's bad. You cannot say the measure of arc EC because that assumes that you take the shortest path between those points. The shortest path between E and C is this side, which is not the one that we're talking about. Again, whenever you have 2 points, you assume the shortest path, you assume that it's going to be a minor arc. But this is the only case that I give you in these 3 cases where it's a major arc, an arc that goes more than halfway around the circle. So we have to describe it with 3 letters. Can someone give me how to say this thing? Measure of what arc? Use at least 3 letters. Who's got it? Andres?
Measure of EFC.
Sure. EFC. Done. I could have said EAC. I could have said EBC. There are 3 different ways to name that one. All right. Any questions on how to describe major and minor arcs? Andres, I'll take a card too.
I just gave it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Jose. What's up, Gunnar?
Could you apply quantum mechanics into this?
No, this is no.
All right, so moving on. Measuring arcs, the thing that we're actually setting out to do. To measure an arc, we are going to do this. We're going to say that the measure of arc, well, we're trying to find AB in this case, so I'm going to say the measure of arc AB, everyone write it down with me. Measure of arc AB is equal to. This is going to be equal to a different measure that we've already figured out before. Is there a question, Gunnar? Oh, what's the answer?
The measure that you have already found would be angle.
Yeah, the angle of what? It is an angle.
Describe it. The arc thing.
The arc thing?
Like from P to PAB, that triangle.
PAB, this triangle right here?
Yeah.
Which of these angles is it?
It's the one by P. That one.
Yes, that one. So the way that I describe Gunnar's angle, and everyone can write down what Gunnar just said, basically. So go ahead and make lines that go from A to P and B to B. What we want to describe is Gunnar's angle. The way that we describe this angle is we say from A to P to B. So angle APB. Angle APB. And again, whenever we describe angles as a review, it's always that middle one that we're talking about. And that's how you find arc measure. That's like, ta-da, the main thing today. So whatever this angle is, if I told you that this angle right here is 30 degrees, then the measure of arc AB is 30 degrees. Eventually we'll get to arc length, which makes a lot more sense. Like, well, how much material do I need in order to build some sort of circular shape? This one is just talking about how to measure them. By the way, we'll label this thing. This thing that we have right up here, this is called the central angle. This is what we defined up above. We said that the central angle is the angle that goes through the exact center. So if this P was moved a little bit right here, That's not in the exact center of the circle, and this is no longer a central angle right here. It has to be in the exact center. Eventually, I'm going to be giving you problems where it's not in the exact center, so just a heads up. All of today's lesson is going to be in the exact center, and I think for a while we're staying in the center. All right, so let me give you an example that you might see on Khan Academy. So we're given the following information. We know that these are straight lines, and they go through the center because the definition of a diameter is that it goes through the center of the circle. It goes through not only the center, but it touches both sides. So these are both lines. Lines, you guys are all going to shout this one out. Lines have how many degrees? Lines have 180. Only one person. Okay. That's, yeah, 180 degrees on a line. All right, so I need to figure out how to get this angle here. And then once I figure out this angle, then I'll know that this angle and this measure are the same. So step one, how do I get this angle right here, this BPD? Anyone have an idea? How can I get angle BPD? Is that your card? I thought Gunnar turned in your card.
No, that was his card.
You guys lied to me.
No,
Fern.
Inner. I feel.
It starts with a V.
Vertical.
Yeah, vertical angles means that this angle right here must be 125 degrees, yeah. So we'll say we got from here to here using vertical angles. Can zoom in here. Vertical angles. And then because we know by our definition up here, the measure of an arc is just the measure of the central angle, x must be also 125 degrees. So I come back up here and say the answer is 125 degrees. Done. It's that easy.
That easy?
Mm-hmm. I would say about a third of your homework problems are going to be like that.
Wow.
All right, let's go on to another one. Example number 2. Yep, and then we have 3. What is the arc measure in degrees of the arc below? And we know that AC and BD are still diameters. So if I come back here and look at this, I know that whenever I see a straight line, they're actually straight lines. This is a straight line, this is a straight line. Unless it says so up here, you cannot assume that. Otherwise, it might have this slightly off. It looks like a straight line, but it might not be unless it says so up here. Don't assume. All right, so I need to somehow figure out this measure, which means I need to figure out this central angle. If I figure out this central angle right here, then I have it. How am I going to do that? Here, I don't want your card.
No.
No.
No, he already
No.
answered. He already answered.
No, I didn't. No, you did it first.
You read the
I
objective.
literally did the first thing.
Okay.
I think.
Any ideas? How are we going to do this? 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. I took your card. You guys are the worst.
No, you just put us down.
Don't steal Monse. Okay, yeah, Monse.
No.
Your card was up. Don't let him take it next time. I'll give you a hint, Monte. Ignore this line. Ignore this 55 degrees. Ignore this line. Can you tell me how big angle APD is ignoring line PE? How'd you get that? Yeah, exactly. All right, so everyone, make sure you're following Monte's work. She's saying that angle APD, this angle right here, is 105 degrees because vertical angles.
So you would have to take line segment E. I know the answer.
Line segment PE, kind of ignore that, yeah.
Question, can I finish it?
All right, so everyone go ahead and label in your notes, this entire angle is 105 degrees, which means in order to find this angle in here, this yellow angle, I'm going to have to do some easy arithmetic. I need someone that has their card still. Sorry, guys. Don't let him take it. I'll call on you. No, put it in. She participated.
No.
All right, time to cold call. Looks like it's gonna be Josie. So Josie, the question on the board: if we know that APD measures 105 degrees, how do I figure out the measure of APE, this yellow angle? Given this green angle, how do I figure out this yellow angle? In a second. If I know the entire thing and if I get rid of this 55 degrees, I should be left with that. So what mathematical operation are we using? Get rid of. Is that add, subtract, multiply, divide? Exactly, yeah. So can you read out what we should do? We started with this, and then we did what and what? So we start with 105, and then you said subtract, right? Subtract what? Say again? There it is. We started with the entire angle of 105, and we're subtracting 55. Thank you, Josie. And then someone else. What is that? Jessica. It is indeed 50, which means our answer is 50. Because if this angle right here is 50 degrees that Josie and Jessica helped us figure out, that means the central angle is 50 degrees. The arc measure must also be the same 50 degrees. So we'll come down here. X is equal to 50 degrees and box it. Question, Andres.
So, like, is it legal to do that, though? Like, in just in math ways, I guess? No, like, to take off line segment PE.
You can ignore it for the time being, yeah.
So you can do it on all those types of problems, just like take that center line.
You can ignore lines in order to help you solve problems, yeah. It's kind of like the reverse of an auxiliary. Yeah, I cannot speak
Thank you,
line.
Mr. Shindo.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Gunnar, do you still have a question?
No, because not really.
Okay.
I had the answer before we even started the question.
That's excellent. Do you
Well,
also?
I wanted to know if I could get my point back if I did, but you didn't.
You do not ever get points back in this class.
Unless you pay
What if I
Mr.
pay?
Shindo.
What if I buy you 3D printer right now?
Everyone has their price. You guys know this. Okay, example number 3. Our final example until we can start the homework. What is the arc measure in degrees of the arc below? So we're trying to find arc measure BC. I guess we should have labeled the last one too, but we're trying to find the measure of arc BC. What is this thing? And that looks hard. Lots of variables happening. About half of your problems are going to look like this tonight. So the first piece of information that we have to know, the prerequisite information is, if I rotate all the way around, how many degrees do all of these add up to?
360.
Choir his hand next time, but yes, it is 360. You don't lose points, it's fine, but just please don't shut them out. So we know that this plus this plus this must add up to 360 degrees. Let's say that, write it down. 9x minus 7. That's going to be added to 13x plus 5. That's going to be added to 10x plus 10. All three of those are going to add together, and when I add all three of those angles, that is one full revolution, or that is equal to 360 degrees. Then I'm going to solve for x, but when I solve for x, I'm not done. When I solve for x, I need to eventually plug it back into our original central angle 10x plus 10, and then that will tell me what this arc measure is. So let's do some math. Someone help me out. Can someone add the x's or the constant terms for me? Either one is fine. Yes, Cohen. You can do either the x's or the constants, your choice. It is indeed 8, yeah. So negative 7 and 5 is negative 2. 10 minus 2 is 8, yeah. So I have 8. Thank you, Cohen. I'll take your card. The x's. Someone add them up. Yes, Eder. Add all the x's together. 23. Thank you. Oh, careful, though. So this and this add up to 23, but then we forgot that one. Don't tell them. Okay. Yes, 32x plus 8. So we've combined all of the like terms on the left-hand side. The right-hand side is 360 degrees. Oh, sorry, I haven't put up the con assignment yet. Question, Gunner?
Right. Why don't you just find 10x plus 10 if that's the...
But what is that? We'll eventually find that, but we don't know what x is.
Why don't we just... Oh, that's true. Well, what if we didn't know what x is?
Then we'd have it, yeah.
What if we just, like...
All right, so next step. Who's got this? Who has not participated yet? Is everyone in? Jenny, have you participated yet?
Yes, yes.
Jenny, what do we do next? Minus 8. What do I get when I subtract 8 from 360? 52. All right, and then finally, anyone? Last step. We've got everyone in now. Jose? By 32. Do you know what 352 divided by 32 is, Jose?
11.
It is indeed 11. Again, as a hint to you guys, if I add these two numbers and they add to the middle, that means that it is divisible by 11. X is equal to 11 degrees. Is that our answer? Should we box it?
Sure. No.
No! So x is 11, technically not degrees. The degrees are distributed out here for the units. But now that I know that x is 11, as Gunnar said, once we have x, then we can just plug it in and we'll have the answer. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to rewrite 10x plus 10 and then plug in 11 for the spot x. I'm substituting. So I come down here and I say 10x plus 10. And then I'm going to substitute that 11 in, so it's now going to be 10 times 11 plus 10. Who can give me my final answer? Gunnar.
Wait.
I believe in you.
I don't even know.
So this is 110.
I forgot. 110 plus 10, 120.
120 degrees.
I forgot where.
And that's the measure of arc BC is equal to that. All right, cool. Can you guys give me a fist of 5? How well can you do our objective for today? Can you use arc measures by using all those cool rules? Vulcan 5, 4, 5, 4. Get a 4 from Julian. 4, 4, 10, 4,
10 out of 10.
4, and 4. All right.
4.9.
Some nice high scores. I'll put the con assignment up now.